Greetings, family. It's me, your boy, Dr. Samuel Abbott, and I'm back with another midweek motivation. Look, family, perfection has a way of slowing you down, even the most capable person. Not because you lack discipline, clarity, or vision, but because perfection has convinced you that movement should wait until everything is just that perfect. Meaning, meaning everything must feel aligned, it must feel right, it must feel complete. Family, that's hesitation. And over time, that hesitation becomes delay, and delay eventually becomes stagnation. But progress, on the other hand, works differently. Progress moves with what is available, learns through action, and improves through refinement. And people who understand this don't wait for ideal conditions. They commit to movement and allow clarity to develop as they go. And that's why this week's focus matters, because it's progress over perfection. I've learned that perfection pauses momentum, while progress compounds growth. And I've also learned that most people are willing to work hard once they begin, but the real struggle was before they took the first step. They wanted clarity and certainty before commitment and confidence before they moved. But I discovered that leadership does not develop that way. Leadership develops through progress. So to hold ourselves accountable to progress, we need more than just a motivational speech. We need a structure that removes excuses and reinforces movement. And the word I want you to carry this week is progress. Progress begins when you prioritize forward movement. Because once responsibility for progress is accepted, the first pressure leaders feel is this: movement can no longer be optional. If progress is your responsibility, then waiting is no longer neutral. Standing still becomes a decision all of its own. And that's why progress always begins with prioritizing forward movement and intentional movement. And people who prioritize forward movement understand that clarity improves after action, not before it. They move with what they know, evaluate what they learn, and adjust as direction sharpens. Forward movement creates something special: information. And information is what allows progress to become intelligent instead of hopeful. And as movement begins, progress requires that you remove delay disguised as precision. Once movement begins, another pressure appears. That is the temptation to slow it down in the naming of refinement. This is where many people lose momentum. They confuse precision with delay and call it excellence, when in reality, execution is where excellence is developed, not postponed. That is why progress requires the removal of delay, disguised as precision, because leaders who grow learn to ask a harder question: is this refinement or is this avoidance? When delay is removed, progress regains traction and responsibility remains sustainable. And sustainability depends on your ability to own the outcome. As momentum increases, responsibility deepens. Movement exposes outcomes, and outcomes demand ownership. Progress cannot be sustained if responsibility is shared only when results are favorable. You must own the direction. You must own execution and even the correction without blaming circumstances or even blaming timing. Owning the outcome means progress no longer depends on permission. It depends on my leadership. And when outcomes are owned, momentum stabilizes, which in turn helps you to govern the pace. Progress driven by urgency eventually collapses, but progress governed by pace endures. This is why you must govern the pace of movement rather than surrendering it to emotion or even pressure. Governing the pace means establishing patterns that allow progress to continue even when motivation fluctuates. It prevents burnout without slowing direction. And when pace is governed, progress becomes durable. Progress continues when leaders choose to respond to feedback without defensiveness. Sustained progress always attracts feedback. Yeah, some of it is helpful, and yes, some of it is distracting. But feedback provides insight that effort alone could not. Because leaders who mature learn that feedback is not a threat to their authority. However, it is actually a tool for their expansion or their growth. Because feedback sharpens executions, it exposes blind spots, it improves decision making. Progress improves when leaders evaluate feedback calmly, apply what strengthens execution, and discards what misdirects focus. Because responding without defensiveness protects both progress and perspective. And when feedback is evaluated thoughtfully and applied intentionally, progress becomes directed rather than accidental. And therefore, that helps you to execute with what you have. Waiting for more resources, better timing, or even additional clarity often delays the very growth that execution would produce. Execution builds capabilities, it builds confidence, it builds clarity all at the same time. And leaders who act with what they already have in their hands develop strength while moving forward. Progress favors action that is evaluated and adjusted, not postponed. And to sustain momentum, leaders must stay accountable to movement. Because staying accountable to movement means regularly evaluating whether direction is advancing or merely being discussed. It requires honest assessment and even some time and timely corrections. Accountability keeps progress real. Results are not always immediate, and growth is not always visible. So staying committed and accountable is what separates leaders who grow consistently from those who stall. Commitment keeps momentum alive even when progress feels slow, and momentum strengthens when leaders finally strengthen progress daily. Daily action compounds over time. Small increments, small improvements, repeated consistently creates lasting change. When progress becomes a part of your daily discipline, direction stays clear and confidence remains stable. Progress is not about speed, family. It is about direction. And when progress is prioritized, clarity sharpens, confidence grows, and leadership strengthens. Progress keeps you engaged in the work of becoming better rather than waiting to feel perfect. So this week, family, I want you to identify one area where you have delayed action because you were waiting for perfection. So then take one deliberate step forward, not a complete solution, not a finished plan, just one step forward, and know that that is progress. Move with what you have, evaluate what you learn, and adjust as you go. That step will create momentum. And as you move forward this week, remember, perfection delays growth. Progress develops leaders. So choose progress over perfection and let momentum carry you forward. God bless you, family. This is Dr. Samuel D. Abbott with another Midweek Motivation.